Hi, dear ones. Lisa A. Romano here, the ACOA Life Coach. And today I want to talk to codependents who are running from themselves. God knows I was one. For a long time, I was making a lot of mistakes in my life, and I did not know why. And it wasn't until I had a very wise, intuitive therapist, which they're hard to find, but I think I was just ready for the information, and I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so I think I was in alignment with receiving the information that he was able to give me, which is why I think I happened on such a great therapist. So when I was sitting in his office and he asked me why I was there, I said, I think I'm crazy, and he said, why? Yada, 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 yada. And after some dialogue back and forth, he said to me, you're not crazy, but you are codependent. And codependents feel crazy because sometimes they do things that they don't want to do. Most oftentimes, they do things they don't want to do. I can remember feeling like I wanted to be loving to people, but I just couldn't. I couldn't be loving. Um, I was very judgmental of other people. I was very angry. If I couldn't get my husband to do what I wanted to do, I would try to manipulate him or guilt him into doing what I wanted him to do. And I can remember hating myself for doing that. I didn't want to be that person, but I didn't know what was wrong. And so I'm going to use my canister again. So here I had this knowing up here that I sort of was aware of, that I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that bitchy wife. I don't want to be that screaming, yelling mom. I don't want to be that person, but I am, and I don't know how to change it. So I had the awareness of that, which only made me feel more guilty. And then as I began to study codependency and I started to study heavily child psychology, and I threw myself into learning about the self and what the self was, what I began to realize was it didn't matter like how many ideas I had about the person I wanted to be. That was not going to help me, because what was wrong was not my ideas. What was wrong was my programming. Every thought, every word, every idea that I spoke, everything that I did was coming out of this programming. And so when I began really sinking my teeth into it, I realized, like, I got to get in there. I have to excavate this programming. I have to understand what happened, and what ideas I have rolling around in my head, so that I can understand this gap that's between this and the idea of the person I want to be. And so what I discovered was that as a child, I was born to two adult children of alcoholics, and my mom was very, very emotionally and verbally abusive, and would say things like, she would call me the B word, and I was little, and I was being called a bitch. I was being called a psycho. I was constantly being told that I was selfish, and that I couldn't be trusted, and that I would have no friends, and no wonder I didn't have any friends, and it was so difficult to be around me. She couldn't stand looking at me. I was little. I was little, like 6 years old, and 7. I was so small, and it never stopped. Um, as I got older, I remember my mom asking me to do things, and I didn't know what the right answer was, so I would make something up. And because she was a helicopter parent, and she was the kind of mom that turned my pants inside out, and she, looked inside your pillowcases. I mean, she was so suspicious, and I was a good kid. I was too afraid to do anything bad. I was like, she never had to look for nothing, because I was like so petrified to do anything bad, because I was afraid of her wrath. And so, but that kind of feeling growing up in that type of home where mom is like, makes you feel like a specimen in a petri dish, it just fills you with shame. It blankets you with shame, and it makes you doubt yourself. And I remember one time my mom saying to me, I have to love you, but I don't have to like you. And I thought, my own mom doesn't like me? I must be like eternally flawed. Like, how could your own mom not like you? And I remember being really, really confused. And what that did, because I didn't have a self, my parents had never fostered a healthy sense of self, I had no connection to my own divinity. And so I only had what they were giving me. And what they were giving me, my dad was a workaholic, and he was very rarely home. And so the only seeds that I had that were being implanted in my mind were very negative ones. And so my aspect of self was completely corrupt. And so I had all these labels inside my mind that I believed in. I believed I was no good. I believed that I was ugly. I believed that I was a liar. I believed that I was selfish. I believed that maybe I was crazy. She used to say that I was a psycho a lot. Um, I used to believe that I was unworthy. Unworthy for what? Unworthy of anything. Unworthy to dream. Unworthy to be loved. Unworthy to have friends. Unworthy to have ice cream. Unworthy to enjoy my meals. Unworthy to feel comfortable in my own skin. Unworthy of my own thoughts. Unworthy of God. Um, and so, but when I was 12, I took all, and that's what happens, and I think it's so symbolic because, even biblically, it says that Christ wandered off at around the age of 12, and I think it's metaphorically, it shows us that we take the lessons that we've been taught when we're about 12 and we become adolescents, and we go out into the world with those lessons and we try to figure out who we are. And so if this stuff that you've been given, if the clay that you've been given is corrupt, dear one, you cannot create pleasurable life experiences. You just can't. And you cannot love others because you do not love yourself. You will seek to have your needs met, and based on what you see in your environment. So if women your age are getting married, you'll get married, and if women your age are having kids, you'll have kids. And you'll think, because you're only 5% conscious, well, if I do all those things, maybe then I'll feel loved. And we cannot find that love outside of self. The opportunity for us to have felt love by someone else has been lost. It just has been. That was our mother and father's job. No man and no child will ever be able to give you or seal off that wound for you. It won't happen. Um, and so it's really important that that concept sink into your head, because there are a lot of love addict codependents out there that are continually to seek that type of maternal love that they didn't get when they were 2 and 3 in relationships, and they idealize the partner, and they fall in love with they think the partner could be. They fall in love with who they wish the partner could be. They fall in love with the partner's potential. They see good in the partner. And they just hope that one day that partner is going to wake up and say, oh, there you are, I love you, the way mom was supposed to do. That doesn't happen, especially for codependent love addicts. We attract narcissistic people who are very shut down. And it would take a lot of self-discovery and willingness to self-correct of a narcissistic type of personality to hold themselves accountable for not being loving and for being manipulative. But for this video, I want to directly speak to codependents who are running from those lies. Dear ones, I encourage you to understand deeply and on a spiritual level that any idea that has you separated from yourself, your divine self, is a lie. It's just a lie. It's an illusion. If you've been battered emotionally by your parents, then it's understandable why you have these labels and why you have these scars, but they're just labels and they're just scars. They're not you. Nobody can separate you from your divinity. You can only hold ideas in your head that are false illusions that you're separate from your divinity. But it is really important that you understand that at your core, you're enough. And that mom and dad may have done great damage and have prevented you from being able to connect with the divine self. And that's true. And from that point until now, you have probably made like me a lot of mistakes, and may have hurt a lot of people along the way, because you heard yourself saying, I don't want to be that person. But you didn't understand that that higher self wasn't running the show. The dysfunctional programming was. So if you take anything away from this video, take this away. Take away the fact that at your core, you are a divine being and that you are enough. And it was your mom and your dad's job to make sure you knew that. But the reality is that people who are blind to their own selves are blind to yourself. They're blind to yourself. So every one of us is only doing the best that we can at whatever state of awareness that we're in. The good news is, dear one, that you can learn to love yourself and you can learn to connect to your own self. I know because I've done it. And this is what I do in my coaching sessions with my one-on-one coaching classes with clients independently over the phone or Skype for those who are overseas. And this is what I do in the teleclasses that I hold. And this is what I do, when I mentor groups and do relationship work with couples. So it is absolutely possible to heal the codependent mind. So understand that you're divine at your core. And then secondly, understand that the most challenging part of this recovery process is learning to embrace all those not so pretty aspects of self. And that's okay. So it's learning to say, I was unaware, and I was unaware that I was acting out of unconscious programming, and that I was running from these labels that weren't even mine. And now that I know that they're not mine, I can forgive them and let them go. Please let me know if this video has touched any chords with you, because really I take direction from you guys. You guys watch these videos and then come up with terrific, amazing questions. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to address that. That would make a great video. And then that's what I do. So I hope this has inspired you, dear ones. And from my heart to yours, I just hope that you really feel loved as a person. I mean, I'll probably never meet you, but I don't have to. I love myself. So I love you because I realize that we're all from the same family, and it's a human family. And any idea that has any of us thinking that we're separate from other races or separate from other ethnicities or separate from other religions, there's no such thing as separateness. And that false notion started a long time ago in our dysfunctional families when our parents refused to connect with us or couldn't connect with us and made us feel separate from the pack. And then in that separateness condemned us and shamed us and taught us to be ashamed of who we are. So this part of 2015 and ongoing is about sort of like soothing the edges of that and learning to see one another as learning to see ourselves as an individual, but certainly part of a whole. And learning to understand that we are connected to everything and everything is connected to us. You are the universe manifesting itself through a nervous system. Your cells are actually carbon copies of the universe. So if you want to know more about those kinds of ideas, investigate what you are on a cellular level and then compare that to a universe. It's strikingly similar. So we manifest all day and every day through this mind. And once this is cleared, once all these negative ideas about self are cleared, we become light bodies. And in Christianity and even beyond, Christianity in ancient texts and drawings, you see angels with halos around their head, and that represents enlightenment, and that represents the light body and what's possible for us as human beings. So I'm hoping that this helped you get back on the road to recovery. So my name is Lisa A. Romano. I am a life coach for adult children of alcoholics and adult lost children who have come from dysfunctional homes. I am the author of The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce, Loving the Self-Affirmations, and Quantum Tools to help you heal your life now. And I am dedicated to your total, full recovery and to you becoming the light body that you were born to be. I hope that I'm able to undo some of which was done by your parents who are unaware.